Hey everyone, in this video I'm going to explain the concept of file handling using binary files in Pascal. I'm going to give you a bit of an overview of the uses of file handling and then go on to demonstrate through a series of progressive programs. So in this tutorial I am assuming that you have sufficient knowledge about concepts such as procedures, functions, records, enumerations, and control flow, etc. Let's talk about the use of file handling first. So far, we have created programs that read, manipulate, and print data, but the scope of this data is limited to an instance of the program. So once a program runs its course, the data is lost. What if I want to use this data in a separate instance of the program? This is when a file comes to use. Whenever you're reading data from the user, you just save it in a file, and then later when you want to use this data, you read it again from the file. So the data is stored to use. This is a simple program that I've created. It is declaring an EMP data type record that is going to store employee details. It's got employee ID, name, email, and phone. In the main, we are taking an employee data type input from the user through read EMP details, you can see here, and then we're just simply printing it out. I'm not going to show you this in the terminal. I'll just go to the next program. In this, we are taking a step further and we are actually writing this data to a file. We are not reading it. We are taking input from the user, writing it to a file, and then printing the same input that we've taken. We'll read it in the next program. So yeah, let's have a look at how we write data to a file. The first thing we do is declare a file type, a file of EMP data type, uh, and then we assign this variable. This is a variable and not actually a file, so we assign this variable a physical file. So once you enter a name of the file, it'll look for this file in the um, folder, in the same folder as the source code. Next step is to open this file. There are several modes in which we can open them. They are read, write, and read, write, read or write, which is reset in this case for Pascal. So we open this file in read write mode. Seek helps us. Okay, before we look at seek, let me help you visualize a file of EMP data. It is basically something like an array. It has records of EMP data types stored one after the other in memory. So we have positions here in array in files as well. So through seek we are going to a particular position in that file. So through this we are trying to go to the end of the file. So this is the file. This takes two parameters, EMP file and then the position that we want to go to. File size returns the size of the file. So say EMP file has two records. File size will return 2, but seek will take the pointer to the third index, that is index number 2, that is the third position. So we can write a new record through this function and close the file to release the memory. We'll just go ahead and run this program. I will compile it and run it. So I enter some details. Okay, now we've printed it. Now I have the data saved in a file. I'll just go ahead, copy this file, paste it in program 3, and we'll have a look at program 3 now. Here we are taking employee, we're reading it from the file, and then we're printing this employee's details. Reading data from the file is very similar to writing. We just replace the write with read. We declare EMP file as a variable file of EMP data type. We assign it to a employees.dat. We open it in read write mode. We read read will read the record at the particular position that it is in the file right now. So by default it's in the first position, so it will read the first record and return it. So far we have just one record in the file, so that's fine with us here, and in the end we'll close this file. and release the memory. So we'll just run it and see if we get our data back. I'll compile it and run it. So here we have whatever we entered in the first instance of the program in the next one. So now now we can go ahead and consolidate both read and write into one program and create more of a wholesome program. So we are giving the user three options here: add a new employee, which will write a new employee to the data, to the file. We will print all employee details, and 3 is quit. So we have made a slight improvement to print all employee details, that is reading of the data from the file. We'll have a look at that. So if the user selects 1, we write data to file. It's the same function as we saw before, exactly the same. And for printing all employee datas, we take an array, and we are actually returning an array of records here in read emp data from files. So we'll show you the changes that have been made. Here it is. So this is the function. Now we're declaring an I integer and size as an integer. So we assign I0, we assign emp file to employees.dat, open it in read write mode. We take the size integer as file size of emp file -1. To work with arrays, we are reducing it so that we make the size into an index. Now set length, we set the length of result to the actual size that we have of the file, and for I equal to 0 to size, we read this. Now for every time a read is run after a file is open, once a read is run, it stores the first record in the variable, and then it moves to the next position. So the next time a read is run, it saves the next record to the variable. So here we are storing all the data that we have into our array of dynamic array of emp data type. So let's go ahead and run this and see what happens. I'll copy the same file into my program here. So I'll compile it and I'll run it. So now if I want to print the data, you see we still have that data that we entered in the first program. And if I want to add an employee, I will go ahead and add to gmail.com and just some random number, and then I want to print the details again. We have both these saved in a file. So this is basically basic functions in file handling. Let's go on to create something a bit more complex. We will take data into files. So I want to store data about skills of each employee. So what I've done here is in program 5, I've created a skills.dat file. I'll copy the employees.dat again to this. I'll clear this data in skills.dat, and yeah, let's go ahead and have a look at program 5. So I'm creating a enumeration skill kind, that is Java, Pascal, Python, Ruby, and PHP values. I am creating a skill data, that is an employee ID and a skill of skill kind. So what we're going to do here is store this skill data record into skills.dat and read it and then associate this employee ID with data from here and print out the data. So let's have a look at how this is being done. So we have add employee and print all employee functionalities. Now we've added the add skill functionality. So let's have a look at that. So we have we're taking employee ID, for which first we're taking an input of the employee ID for the person you wish to add the skill for, and then we are adding the skill. Okay, so we are giving right skill to file, and we are adding this skill line is a variable of skill data type. So let's have a look at write skill to file. It's pretty much the same as the write we used there. Yeah, it's exactly the same. So nothing new to explain in this. And then when we are printing employee details, let's go have a look at that. Print employee details, here it is. Here we are creating a skill list array of skill kind, and we are reading this from file, and we're passing an employee ID for the skills for the employee for which we wish to read the skills. So let's have a look at read skill from file. Okay, so uh, it starts off the same. I assign skill file to skills.dat, open it and read write, set the size, set the length, set the count to 0. So here what I'm going to do is read each file, compare if the employee ID in that particular file is equal to the employee ID that I've passed here, and then add the skill kind of that skill data into an array, into a dynamic array of skill kind, and return the skill file. So now I'll go ahead and show you. I'll run this program. So I'll quit this, and I'll compile it, and I'll run it. So now I can add skill to an employee. I'll choose to add Pascal to Akshay. So now I print the record, and I am getting Pascal here, and say I want to add another skill to Akshay. I'll enter employee ID and add Java, and print it. I'm getting Java here. So if I wish to add another skill to Avi, I will add, say, Ruby, and then print it. I'm getting Ruby here. So this gives you an idea of a practical use of file handling and using multiple files, etc. Finally, I'm going to tell you about the delete functionality. If I want to delete a record from a file, there's no real method to do this. So what we are going to do is uh, we're going to read the data into an array. We're going to delete that particular record that we want to get deleted from that array, and then we're going to rewrite this array into a file. So let's have a look. We're getting the delete ID as a parameter. We use this ID to compare it to the records that we have and delete the particular record. So let's have a look. We get the whole employee list into a dynamic EMP data array through read EMP data from file, and this is something I am doing. This is something I'm doing to delete that particular record from that array. So when this condition checks if this particular employee record is found in the array, and this sets the record, and this overrides basically that particular record with the one present in the next one, and so on and so forth until the end. And then we set the length to -1 so that the record is deleted from the array, and then we assign the EMP file to employees.dat. We open it in rewrite mode this time. This will completely wipe the data from the file and write new data. So then we perform the right functionality. Uh, so let's have a look. Let's run this program. I'm going to quit this one. Okay, 6. Go ahead, compile it. Let me just copy the files first. See here, and paste it into what we have used so far. Place it. Okay, now I'll compile this and I will run it. Now we have the delete employee option. So let's print out the details. We have Akshay and Avi. I go into delete. I will select Avi to be deleted and then print out the details. Now I just have Akshay here. So that's pretty much it for this tutorial. We had a look at the use of file handling. We had a look at complex program where we read data from two different files. We read, wrote and deleted data. So I hope you understood, and if you I hope you gain some clear knowledge about file handling in Pascal. If you have any improvements, do leave a comment. If you like the tutorial, do like and comment. That's it for today. Thank you.